Right, hello everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Doctor Who Pod. I am Josh, and joined with me, as always, is my co-host JP. How are you, Jack?
I'm all good, thank you, mate. How about yourself?
I'm not too bad at all, thank you. These introductions are getting very difficult because sometimes it's Jack and Brad, sometimes it's just Jack, sometimes it's just Brad. It's all getting very confusing. It's hard work being the main host of this show, I tell you.
Yeah, no, I bet, it's a lot to juggle. It's a lot to juggle, and then you're talking about the future, kind of kind of episodes, and with me, you're talking about ones you've already seen, and that you don't like for whatever reason.
That's a very good point. I'm basically a time traveler.
You are pretty much, yeah. You are jumping back and forward. Otherwise, you're going to start messing things up, man. Doctor Strange is going to come out of nowhere and be like, "Stop messing with the timeline."
I basically am Doctor Who, and that's now I enjoy this episode more than anything. So this week you are joining us for our review of the Shakespeare Code. JP, give us your sum up in a word.
Okay.
Do you know what? That's probably as good a word as you could give, to be fair. Okay, I think I'm inclined to agree with you. Let's go a little bit more in depth. But before we get there, shall we jump over to Who News?
Yeah, let's jump over to Who News. Go for it.
Okay, welcome to Who News. JP, do you have anything for us this week?
I don't really, apart from the fact that I know that the new Doctor is now the Doctor. That's it. 'Cause again,
Yeah, nice bit of
I'm
news there, JP.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to avoid as many spoilers and everything as possible, which is very hard seeing as I run the Twitter account for us. And everyone that I follow is, of course, talking about Doctor Who. So the only time I ever jump on Twitter now is to put a little update out on a Friday saying we're releasing another episode. So I'm trying to steer clear of the news at the moment, in all honesty. But I do know that this was the episode that Tennant regenerated into. Is it in Cootie or Cootie?
Shooty.
Shooty. Shooty. Into Shooty Gator. And I've not seen any reactions or anything like that. As always, guys, Josh and Brad do their own thoughts on a separate episode. So go give those guys a listen. But I don't know. I mean, what were your thoughts? Good, bad, ugly?
Do you know what? Obviously, go and listen to other episodes. But genuinely, a very good episode of Doctor Who.
Ooh, okay.
And we've spoken about it, but yeah, I mean, my thoughts. I would say, as a whole, loved it. There was a few things that I quite strongly disagreed with. And the more I ponder on it, the more I think about it, the more annoyed I get about it. But as an episode, fucking good. Very excited, and that's why I want to keep on ploughing through with this, because I am very excited to hear your thoughts in particular on it, JP. The most exciting bit of news that we got released today is the song, or the musical excerpt from the Christmas episode has been released. Have you heard it, JP?
Nope, not heard it.
I don't like it, if I'm being totally honest with you. I think it's a bit...
Okay.
Sort of, I don't know if this will make any sense to anyone other than me, but it's a bit like Dua Lipa sort of generic, if that makes sense.
So quite poppy.
Yeah, like, I don't know, but the music video of it is very reminiscent of David Bowie's Labyrinth. And
okay, which I know is a good thing for you because you love David Bowie.
I love David Bowie. I love Jim Henson, obviously the puppeteer behind Yoda, and he does all the puppets of the little goblin men, and this special looks very similar to it. Don't like the song, but very intrigued by it. Again, we get another little clip of Shooty, and I think he looks very good in it. The companion looks very compassionate and good in it as well. Doesn't spoil anything, JP. I definitely recommend taking a minute and just going and checking it out on the YouTube channel and see what you think. Oh, no, that's why I'm specifically interested in your opinions on it, because I know you hate a musical.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of a musical. I'll sit down and watch them if I have to.
Yeah, no, I get that. That's totally why I'm excited to get your opinion on this, because me and Brad, we love a musical.
Yeah, no, for sure.
So we might even be a bit more forgiving on it than the general public, perhaps. I'm not 100% sure.
Shoot it down. Yeah.
Shooty it down.
Shooty it down. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I once infamously moaned that I went to see the Only Fools and Horses musical, and moaned that actually my one gripe that there was too many songs.
Which is madness. Which is absolutely mad. For me, that abruptly brings the end of Who News. Right, okay. We are talking today, as we mentioned up top, about the Shakespeare Code. An episode I was not that excited to watch. And I did not pay that much attention to. And left it thinking, do you know what? That's all right.
You know what? I was going into this on the tail end of you going, this is shit, the next one's shit, the one after shit, yada yada yada.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you said that because as I'm watching it, I'm not saying it was the best episode of Doctor Who I've ever seen, but it wasn't the worst either. There was some very interesting points in there. When we get to the ending, I thought the ending did bring it down a little bit. I thought the episode got
Agreed,
worse.
100%. Yeah.
I feel like the episode got worse as it got on, but overall, I wouldn't say it was a bad episode. That's why I say, okay, it's all right.
Yeah, no, I agree with you completely. Let's smash through this then. So the intro of this, a witch seducing this lute player. The first note
Oh,
I have is how fucking fit is Lilith?
oh, I said that as well. I mean, my first note was there's always some
Woo!
cunt with a guitar. Yeah, no, yeah, I've got to say, yeah, fair play. He was, I'd have been the same. I'd have been some witch's chow, you know. I'd have.
100%. I was adamant I knew her from somewhere. Looked her up. She's in Suits, which I remember as a
Yeah.
program that you introduced me to and then proceeded to never watch. And I fell in love, in absolute love with it. Did you ever end up watching Suits?
I think I watched the first episode. I told you about it, and then yeah, I don't think I ever watched.
She's also in Casino Royale. She's the check-in girl when he goes to I don't know, wherever he goes to at the beginning, Cuba or whatever it is.
Pretty
She's not the
beautiful looking woman.
only famous cameo we get in this series, JP. I want you eagle-eyed for more.
Oh Christ, they're not in Suits, are they?
No. One of them is Argo. Right, okay. Without spoiling too much, a future Spider-Man has his first acting career in
Give
this
a fuck.
series.
But back to Doctor Who, because that's what we're talking about. A lot of innuendos, though. Sort of, like, you know, kind of in between
Yes.
the thing where she says about, I just like come inside or something like that, which made me chuckle like a child, because I am a
Yep,
child.
I just
But
would.
yeah, and then I said that's the last time that guy goes out drinking, because we've all heard you know, what kind of the old beer goggles do to men and women, and yeah, it
Well,
was just unexpected. Like, I mean, he goes, "Oh, this is the." He's just saying along the lines of, "Oh, this isn't the kind of place I'd expect a lovely lady to have or something." And I'm actually sitting there thinking, it didn't look that bad. It was just a bit witchy, but I wouldn't have noticed any difference or anything. And then he just turns around and she's an old hag, and I'm like, "Oh, okay, fair enough."
Oh, of course, like I keep forgetting that you don't know what's coming. Did you expect it to be witches, or did that catch you quite off kilter?
No, completely off kilter. Didn't know it was witches. I mean, the Shakespeare Code. I knew obviously Shakespeare was going to be there, but I thought it was going to be more like kind of a Da Vinci Code kind of thing where they had to like work out a little mystery and you know
That would have
everything
been
like that.
quite
But
clever. Yeah.
almost like so, I genuinely right. I tell you what, my first impression was, or like my first thought was going to be, it was like St. Trinian's 2.
Never seen it, and that's raised a lot of questions as to why you have seen it.
I fucking love St. Trinian's. Two things. David Tennant's in that one. But what they do is they find a lost script or something in their library, and it turns out it's a kind of like a little trial to find Shakespeare, and then it turns out that Shakespeare was a woman.
Yeah, I didn't listen to a word of that. You like Cintrinians too?
Yeah, I did that. I mean, the first one was better.
Well, you've seen them both.
Yeah.
We were just talking about how much you hate a musical, and now you're like, oh
Musical,
yeah, but I
yeah.
love Cintrinians. What the fuck is
I
this
like
about?
St. Trinian's, yeah. I like Mean Girls as well. Mean Girls is a great film.
Anyway, let's move it swiftly back to Doctor Who. Right, first question. Why does she attack this lute-playing loser?
I don't know. Looking back, I can only assume that they were trying to draw his energy or something. That seems like a witchy thing to do.
The second thing was that bit where they're ripping him apart at the beginning. That's quite scary, or is it quite scary? I couldn't work it out.
I think for a child, that would be pretty scary.
I agree. I had you in the back of my head because I was watching the shows and I'm like, oh, that's quite creepy. And then I was watching this Lilith cackling with her Wicked Witch of the West makeup on, and I was like, is this now too comical? Has Jack implanted the seed that the villains are too comical in my head?
You know, for me, it's just like, oh, there's 3 witches. They've just consumed a man. Obviously, some shit's going to go down in Shakespeare in England, which is quite cool. I thought, I'm on board with that. It's pretty interesting. And what's really interesting, I need to pick your brain on this, because when Rose first goes back in time for the Unquite Dead, the Doctor makes a point that Rose can't wear her normal clothing. And then suddenly the Doctor's just like, yeah, go out, do whatever and everything like that. And they make a very interesting comment from Martha saying about, look, am I okay to be walking around out there? I'm not white, which never crossed my mind at all. I was like, oh, actually, that's a valid question. And B, the doctor just goes, no, you'll be all right. Just walk around like you own the place.
Yeah.
So has the doctor's attitude with maintaining the illusion in the past, has that completely changed from David Tennant, like from Christopher Eccleston to David Tennant? Or is that just the thing where the doctor's just like, oh, I don't give a fuck anymore?
That is a fascinating point, and I don't know is the answer. I mean, the obvious answer is because it leads way to Shakespeare's joke about the tight-fitted clothes. You briefly touched on it. I love all the sort of, medieval Britain hasn't actually, it's pretty much the same thing. You've still got men dressed as women, you've got recycling, and history was a lot blacker than you expected. Just walk around like you own the place. I love all of that.
Yeah.
I think that's a great context for how stupid racism is.
Well, it's very thought-provoking, isn't it?
The thought that women can't be on stage because they can't be earning is mental. And then nowadays, like, there's still a derogatory vibe around drag, I find. And it's just baffling how genuinely little we've come. Do you know what I mean?
It's thought-provoking, man. It's thought-provoking.
It's thought-provoking.
So,
but on a more or on a less topical point, you mentioned obviously that Christopher Eccleston second adventure, I think it is, takes Rose to is it third? No, episode 3 is Unquiet Dead. Takes Rose to a historical literary figure, and he's now got this brand new ting, and he takes her on exactly the same day.
Pretty much, yeah, to go see a historical writer or screenwriter.
I don't think he'd have been a screenwriter at the time because he didn't have any screens, but yeah, just playwright.
No, but what they call
author.
Scripts. Author.
But anyway, let's not
that one. Yeah.
Well on that. What do you think about the fact that he's recycling dates?
Right. So, for example, you had a TARDIS, right? And you were there and you had a companion and you were like, right, I need to prove that this thing can travel in time. If it was me, I'd go backwards in time.
Okay. To prove that it can travel in time, or because you
prove that it can travel in time? No,
Agreed.
Prove it can travel in time, because people know what happened in the past.
It's an established fact. Yeah,
it's an established fact, right? So it's a lot easier for people to recognize that it's the past, to recognize that it's the future. Because you don't know what's going to happen in the future. Without stating the fucking obvious, you're not going to know what's going to happen in the future. Yeah. But you know what's happened in the past. So you go, oh, that's Charles Dickens, or that's Shakespeare, because everybody's talked about Charles Dickens and Shakespeare and Queen Elizabeth and everything like that. So you know who those people are. So then you kind of go, wait a minute, these people are, these are historical figures. Okay. Saying that, however, if you look at Christopher Eccleston and Rose, they went forward in the future first rather than the past.
Yeah.
Whereas David Tennant, first time he's with Martha and the first time they time travel, they go backwards.
So what's your point?
That he's got to prove he's got to prove that it can time travel, and he's realised that actually travelling backwards is better than travelling forwards.
Okay, understood your point. I was talking more the comparisons on, because I've already alluded to this being the rebound season, and it's
you said
Do you think he's trying to replace Rose by literally doing the same thing? But the fact that he has taken her to a historical figure, come on, that says something, doesn't it?
It kind of does, but then again, right? Let's be real. If it's not fixed, don't break. If it's not broken, don't fix it. There you go. Well done, brain. Good job. If it's not broken, don't fix it.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah.
Fair
enough.
Let's be real, right? So this, to me, is an interview process to see what Martha does. So of course, the first thing was the fearless thing. Well, Martha helped out in season 3, episode 1. Now they're going back in time. He wants to see what she's like dealing with past issues as a present person, and then go into the future, seeing, because at the end of the day, I'm pretty sure it's not going to happen, but there's every chance she could go into the future, freeze, and just have a mental breakdown and go, I can't do this.
Yeah, I mean, you could argue that you'd have the exact same reaction going into the past, but no,
I
get your point.
Yeah, exactly.
It's going through the mills,
Like later in the episode, they're laying in bed together, and it's just like, again, it's one of my notes that I've put about. I think she actually had a very angry reaction to not kissing the doctor, but then again, I don't think the doctor made any moves. It was just I'm laying in bed talking about the whole scenario, and then later about Rose as well. The witch mentions Rose.
Yeah,
he gets very angry about that. So, you know.
There are a few very good lines when they initially land in the past. There's the whole "don't step on a butterfly." Or no, there's a whole
Yeah,
"what happens if I step on a butterfly?" Well, don't fucking step on a butterfly then, you silly twat. I think that's
yeah. Well,
brilliant.
no,
Like,
that's it.
why
Because he
does it
says,
matter?
what does the butterflies do to you? And then he says about she says, oh yeah, but what if I accidentally kill my great grandfather? And he was like, well, was you planning to?
Yeah.
Which
It's just properly
is
funny.
brilliant. Like, because everybody thinks of that, don't they? When you go, like, if you used to go in the past, you're like, oh, what if I changed the course of history and everything like that? Or what if I, and you're like, yeah, but how many times do you actually look at someone and go, oh, I'm going to kill that person?
Yeah,
Or
exactly,
how
exactly.
many times have you accidentally killed someone?
Yeah,
Never. It's
no,
just the thing that we just worry about for no reason. But yeah, no, I like those lines. They're just like, they're little throwaway lines, but they just tell you so much about it. Which,
yeah, exactly. It's
again,
even the bit where it's like, you can now go home and tell everybody that you've seen Shakespeare. And she's like, yeah, and get sectioned immediately afterwards. And you're like, yeah, who can you tell about this?
exactly, because you would. Like, it's just if someone come up and to you and went, oh, I met Shakespeare today. You're like, yeah, all right, mate. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
exactly.
Let's sit down and have a cup of tea first, and then we're gonna make a special phone call, and
No, I love it.
But
And it's like you said, it's a little bit of a throwaway, funny line, but it's also fantastic foreshadowing for what comes later with the whole Bedlam Hospital and, people going insane because they have actually seen tangible witches. Um,
yeah,
but of course, you wouldn't believe somebody if they've said that they're a witch. What do you think about this episode trying to, and this is again, we've spoken about this before, this is what I think Doctor Who does best. It's
hmm
saying, okay, witches are this fantastical, mythical thing, but this is where we get that idea from.
oh, I love it. I think it's brilliant because at the end of the day as well, it's like, I mean, not that we were around then, but from what I learned in history and everything like that, kind of like about like the Salem witch trials and kind of the fact that they used to do these witch hunts and everything like that. And they just go after like elderly women that were on their own or something like that. And their suspicion was, well, their husband died before them, so they must be a witch.
Yeah, exactly. But what I love about Russell's writing is that the actual truth is such an alien concept to us now. The fact that, oh, a woman's outlived a man, or this woman has been single all her life, or this woman's got cats, or God forbid, this woman is intelligent. That
Yeah,
2, 3, 400 years ago, people would have drowned that fucking woman for those reasons. That
yeah,
in modern society is so alien to us that by actually saying, well, the reason we think there's witches because there was an alien race that came down that embodied what we now think of witches is more sort of relatable to us, because we're like, no, we've come so far as a society that's insane. Like, how could we possibly have thought that back in the day and done these Salem witch trials and all this nonsense? Like, baffling, right? Baffling.
oh, it's mental, absolutely
Yeah,
mental. But it shows that I mean, us as humans, it's we're we're constantly developing. We're getting better. We make mistakes, but then we do better on them after. And that's it, which I really like. I think is quite a cool thing. But yeah, no, I like that kind of. It's always a big thing for me. Science is sorry, magic is unexplained science, and they've done it perfectly, like with the voodoo doll. He says,
yes,
"Oh,
yes.
that's a thing," and it's just it's incredible because voodoo dolls are a thing that we, kind of us as humans, we believe in, but there has to be a scientific explanation for it.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's just, it's like, every lie that you says has a little bit of a truth to it. Every myth must have an origin somewhere along the lines. Do you know what I mean? And I think the way, like, playing on that fear, I think is fantastic. But it sort of leads on. Well, it doesn't really. But my next note in my on my notes is, my God, Shakespeare is a fucking cunt. I cannot
Oh,
stand
I
him in
thought
this
you wouldn't.
episode.
I thought you wouldn't like him. I watched him jump onto the stage, and I thought, yeah, I wonder if this is why Josh doesn't like the
Do you
episode.
know that's my exact same note? Like, I'll read it per, like, literally word for word. God, Shakespeare a cunt. Even his little kick he does as he runs on stage.
I knew it as soon as I saw him jump on the stage. I was like, "Oh, he's not gonna like that one, is he?"
He's so irritating. What a little fucking. Honestly, I just wanted to bottle the cunt. I'm like, fuck's sake, Shakespeare. What are you playing at? Now,
I don't know.
Dickens, as this mature, humble, behind the scenes, doesn't want any of the limelight, just happy to be writing and doing his own thing. Brilliant character. Shakespeare, he's the kind of guy And we know these guys from school. I'll bleep this out in the edit, but it's who it is. Shakespeare is the kind of guy that writes this story and he's watching all these actors and, well, all these actors performing it and getting the round of applause and everything. And he's sat at the back twitching. He's thinking, when can I come out? I deserve this applause. I need to be out there. I need to be out there. I need to be out there. And he runs out and does his stupid fucking kick. And it's like, oh, you're a cunt, mate. I know people like you. I went to school with people like you. You're a prick.
Yeah, see, the way I see it though is being a screenplay, like kind of a screenwriter. I keep saying screenwriter. I think it's a screen or playwright. Playwright. That's fucking it. Being a playwright. Sorry for everyone that's been like kind of pulling out hair there, going, why the fuck is he not saying playwright? Being a playwright, he is like a Shakespearean footballer. You look at footballers nowadays, that are just like, look at me, look how great I am, look at all my cars and my money and hotels and everything like that. And let's be real, Shakespeare in his youth would be a Shakespearean footballer. You know,
I
he's the man.
disagree.
He's the man with
I
all the power.
hard disagree. He's not a footballer. He is a manager because the footballers are the actors in this analogy. Like he should
Yeah.
be this more quiet behind the scenes, but I can't even think of a fucking, I don't know. Give me some managers' names.
You got Sir Alex Ferguson, Jose
Yes, that
Mourinho,
one.
David
I've heard of
Moyes.
Alex Ferguson. Yes, he liked the limelight. I know his name. A good manager stays behind the scenes. Anyway, it's a ridiculous analogy that you formed here. Fact is,
No.
he's a fucking cunt. But I do like the whole he's such a genius and he's going through such a hard time. And it's little things like he's immune to the psychic paper because he's such a genius. It's little
Yes,
things
which I
like
like.
we're feeding on him. He's got so much energy because his son died. That's why we can feed on this person. So
Yeah.
I think that's all very clever. I think that's all very well.
That was an interesting point as well about Shakespeare being immune to the psychic paper, but Martha, I think it was implied that Martha wasn't,
Yeah.
which is very interesting. And I don't know if that's going to be something that maybe the Doctor trains Martha in if he decide, if they both decide that they want to do the companion thing. But it was very interesting because, of course, they made a point of Torchwood, the members of Torchwood being trained, having what was it, like a level 1 psychic training thing or something like that.
Yeah.
Because the Doctor goes, oh, well, a human shouldn't be able to do that, but it's already proven that actually humans can do that. So is it that the people at Torchwood were humans and were trained and the Doctor forgot about it, or the people at Torchwood weren't actually human?
No, I think the point is it's like we've spoken about this before. I think it's like a Jedi mind trick. It's like if you have a certain level of intelligence or a certain level of basic training, then you could do it. And Martha, be it because she's not clever enough innately or because she just hasn't had any exposure to this yet, can't read it. Yeah, I think you're reading into that one a little bit too much.
Okay, fair enough. But yeah, that was interesting. And then we get to who I'm assuming is like kind of Ofsted. Oh, sorry, not Ofsted. Ofcom in a person. The man with the chain and the hat that says to Shakespeare, "Oh, your play's not gonna. I've got to see a copy of it before I can approve it." The approval guy.
I liked him. I think he's quite a good character. I think you should shut him down. I think how dare you bring a new fucking show? Someone needs to put Shakespeare in his box, if I'm being honest with you.
Well, he died like Squirtle.
He died like Squirtle.
He just spit and water everywhere. I was expecting Ash Ketchum to just go up and just try and fucking just like launch a fucking pokeball at him and just try and catch him. Like I was like, he's died like a Squirtle.
Pretty gruesome death as well for a kid's show.
That's gotta be that's gotta be a sucky way to go.
Oh yeah, not great. I love though. Again, it led on to the whole, Martha, I'm a doctor out of my way, and then Shakespeare's like, oh, take me to this land of Fredonia where a woman can be a doctor. And a little bit before that, he's like, oh well, what are we supposed to call you these days? The Queen of Afric, an Aethop girl? And I'm like, all of those make me cringe. But it is nonsense how it's just, the human race puts such emphasis on descriptive words and how they become insulting. And really, it should just be a descriptive word. And I think it's funny how, times change and now you'd be fucking shocked if you said, hello, Queen of Afric. Could you imagine saying that to a woman of color?
Oh, yeah.
See, like saying
Yeah,
that,
excuse me.
I don't even know if I'm allowed to say woman of color anymore because I don't think colored is the right word anymore. I think we now have to say black, right?
I've got no idea, to be honest.
And again,
I
it's a
just, I
dangerous
just call,
conversation and it's
I
at
just
risk
call
of being
people by their.
cancelling.
I was just, I just call people by their names, and then that way, if they get pissy, I'm like, well, that's your name. Like,
You mentioned a little bit earlier about the doctor laying down in bed. It's very, very, like 15 years later, it's still very weird seeing him with his suit jacket unbuttoned. I didn't like that for 1 second.
well, I mean, I suppose you always unbutton your suit jacket when you sit down, so why not when you lay down as well?
No, it's weird. We shouldn't have seen that. That was awful. Didn't like that at
Yeah.
all.
I just feel like the Doctor's being a bit of a tease there, but unintentionally, because there's at no point does he ever actually properly make eye contact with Martha.
But again, like he should be more socially aware. He's not autistic. But again, he doesn't understand the human race, to be fair. It did lead to the
Yeah, that's a
brilliant,
fair point.
led to the brilliant Harry Potter joke as well, which I absolutely loved. I had to look it up, and this came out in April, and Harry Potter Book 7 came out in July of 2007. So
Yeah, well, actually saying that, there's actually quite a few pop culture references in this, isn't there?
he obviously mentions the Rose would know thing as well.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
just more emphasis that it's a rebound. And yeah, then all sort of shit goes down. We get the witch on a broomstick. Um,
Yeah, I just you know what? It then got like a little bit kind of out of it for me, a bit
yeah,
very kind of pantomimey, and that's it because Shakespeare is obviously hard at work writing this play that he didn't think he'd be writing, which are fair enough. But then the witch comes through his window, blows a green cloud onto Shakespeare, which knocks him out, and then puppeteers him to write the scripts.
all very strange. Yeah, I
Which
agree
I'm
with you
like,
completely.
I mean, two things. One, that's great puppeteering because that takes a lot of effort. Not only have you got to like kind of hold the puppet up, you got to put the puppets on to do all the letters, and I just that was very weird. And then of course they get interrupted by the who I'm assuming is the landlady, of the building,
The one
and
that's
she
going to nosh him off
dies.
a bit later.
Yeah, and she dies of fright, and I'm just
See,
like,
I wondered if that was the doctor downplaying it again, like he says about the guy that drowned to death. I wonder if he was just downplaying it because you don't want to worry the locals. Um, yeah, maybe. I don't
yeah,
know.
I don't know. It was just a bit. Oh, she died of fright. And I'm like, uh, I, I get it, but I don't get it. I'm like, that's a bit shit. Like, you've literally got the same witch, or one of the three witches, that tore a man into pieces at the start of the episode, who then killed a lady by scaring her.
But you've
I'm
also
like,
got to put yourself in the frame of mind that these people are so far removed from, like, we see witches left, right, and center. I actually have a question on this. Remind me to come back to it. But we
mhm.
see witches left, right, and center, and it's destined. We have fairy tales read to us when we were a kid. This probably would be scary for someone back then.
Yeah, but then again, it's just an old woman. All right, fine,
Okay,
enough, it's just a
yeah,
woman.
yeah. It's an old
But
woman that's
it's
flying and
like,
teleporting, though.
well, yeah, but she didn't see that. She just turned around. She interrupted, the puppeteering masterpiece, and she just turned around and she was just like an ugly old woman.
I
And you're just
suppose,
like,
yeah.
well, like if it had been like a werewolf or a zombie or something actually scary that isn't something you would see, you'd be like, all right, yeah, fair enough. But I don't know, like you're gonna have
Yeah,
the witch like pounce at her, or yeah, it was
yeah,
just
yeah.
a bit.
Something should have happened. No, I suppose budget is probably the answer to that.
Yeah,
Um,
but then of course, talking of budget, they then go into the mental, like the what do they call it, bedlam? Is it?
well, just before we get there, and
Oh
listen, it's
god,
not a big deal, but I do just want to say we obviously get the gay Shakespeare comment, and I think it's just a testament to Russell's writing. I think it's very funny and also probably true as I was looking up. But I just brought it up because I
really?
came up with a brilliant joke. It's not Shakespeare, it's Shakespeare. Thank you for laughing. I was really worried it was just going to be silence for a second.
Hey, that's pretty good. I give it that.
Not bad, is it? So yeah, so then they
Yeah.
obviously go to Bedlam, and you get super hands if he carried on with his crack den parties all year round in Peep Show. And they're pretty tapped little bit, to be fair. I quite like the bit in Bedlam.
Well, two things. On one note, I actually put pretty good practical makeup, like on the actual architect, like the eyes and the teeth, and I'm like, that's a man that's pretty messed up, you know.
Have you ever seen Peep Show?
No, never seen picture.
So this is super hands. In Peep Show, he plays like a meth addict and a crack addict. It's very funny. He's a fucking excellent actor. There's
Oh yeah.
no makeup or prosthetics on him. Like that is just how this man looks.
Oh Jesus, poor man.
He looks like he's done meth his entire life. Yeah, he's fucking brilliant.
Jesus.
Matthew Woods or something, I want to say his name is. But yeah, that is like, there's probably makeup on him, obviously, but no like prosthetics or anything to make his eyes especially bulgy. That's just how he looks, I think.
Bloody hell. That's pretty, yeah, okay, fair enough. It was pretty sad though, wasn't it? Like, you know, when they're talking about like, you know, Martha's going along, because but bearing in mind Martha is a trainee doctor.
Yeah.
And she's like, you're whipping these people. Like, and it's like, yeah, like it's well documented that kind of people with like mental health issues or like severe issues back in the past were not treated well at all.
Well, back in the past, like fucking as recent as the 90s, like maybe even the noughties, you know, like this is not a okay, maybe maybe we weren't whipping them for humor, but this isn't something that's that far removed. I think like we still have circuses. Do you know what I mean? Like,
well, I was more thinking of the treatment and everything. I could think of probably, I think it was in the 70s where they used to use the electroshock therapy or something like that, which was pretty much they just put the fucking power grid through someone and went, oh, that'll help.
Yeah.
Like, is that going to fucking work? I don't think so. But, you know, there you go. But I'm not a medical professional, so I can't fucking comment. But yeah, no, it was quite nice to see Martha's like kind of compassion as an actual trainee doctor come through. She's like, these people need severe help, and you're not giving it to them, like, which is well documented. Like, you know, that's it. And then of course the witch just appears in the room. Which, by the way, I think they implied that they could still see through the architect's eyes.
I thought she just teleported into the room. No.
Well, no, because they see him in the bucket or the cauldron or wherever it was.
No, they see the doctor. Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. No, but they also see the architect's face. Again, I think this is maybe, I think they can just see and they can just see through the part. Yeah, I don't know if it's whether it's for anyone.
But then she's like, oh, I'm going to deal with the doctor. I think she said she was going to blind him or something like that. And I'm like, shit, she's going to like throw acid in his eyes or something.
Fucking hell.
And then he just calls her by her name and then she just fucks off, which again, it's just on this slippery slope downhill where I just started losing interest in the episode because they're like, they're doing this thing and it's like, it's really tense. And it's like, you know, it's like, oh, tell me the story. And like, you know, he's actually getting a story out of it. And I'm like, shit, you know, this is going to go down. This is going to be really sick. And then the witch turns up and it's like, oh, damn, like, you know, now they're in trouble because they're locked in a cage with someone who's, I suppose, technically still possessed by the witches and a witch as well. And I'm like, shit's going to go down because, like, especially the comment that the gatekeeper makes as well. He's like, oh, be careful, he can be violent. And I'm like, oh, this is going to be really tense. And then the doctor just calls her by her name, and I honestly I thought she died because I was like, oh, this is it, she died, and then she teleports back. But I just started getting very, very clumsy.
No, I completely agree with you. Endings are hard, is the note that I have. The only thing I would say is, I like how he explains it. And again, we touched on it earlier. It's the whole, you know, magic is just a science that we don't understand yet. And he, like, you know, some races, they choose words. We chose numbers and mathematics, and others chose magic. I like all that. I also like the fact that the Martha is like balls to the walls when she gets the opportunity. She's like, no, I'm going to try doing this. I named the Carolites. And it's like, fuck, it doesn't work. But I think that talks testaments to her character. But completely agree with you. That's where I fell off, because if the answer is just saying random words, you might as well just be, you know, it might as well be a finale of them just pressing random buttons or, you know, just throwing random shit. Like, it doesn't really mean anything, does it?
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. It was just like, Well, it just seemed a little bit like a cop out. You know what I mean? I was just like, okay, fair enough. Um,
I think
but
it works in the context of the story. We've got a
yeah,
Shakespeare
no,
who is a wordsmith. You know, it's very much the thread is laying that these witches they work in words. But for me, it's very hard to have stakes in a story where you can literally just say random words and you're going to get out of it. Like, I think the stories that work the worst for me are the ones where there's no logical answer. Like, there is no way in a million, trillion, billion years, the smartest person in the world would be able to work out that the way to defeat these monsters is to say 9320146 Expelliarmus. Do you know what I mean? That like you can't work that out as a viewer. So what are the stakes? Where's your investment in this? And I think that's what falls apart for me personally.
yeah, exactly. And I just, I don't know. We'll get to the ending there because I've still got a couple of more notes before we get to the ending.
Go on.
And it was just the fact that I did see what they were doing because of course it is well documented that the Doctor has two hearts and the witch was like, oh, we're going to stop his heart, and I'm like, oh, okay, so the Doctor's other heart is going to save him, and which
Can
I
see it
quite
coming, yeah.
liked. Yeah, I saw it coming. That was good, but again, it was just like I just put a note. Well, that was easy, and it was just like like when Shakespeare's like, you've got to stop the play, you've got to stop the play, and then Shakespeare runs out onto stage, and then the witch just taps the voodoo doll when he falls asleep, and I'm like, it just it didn't seem very good. The ending didn't fit the build
No,
up. You
exactly.
know what I mean?
Because
It
we
just
don't understand the rules. If she can just tap you and you fall asleep, what else can she do? Why are there any
yeah,
stakes here? We don't, we're not, you haven't laid the groundwork enough,
turn
unfortunately.
you into a Squirtle.
No, well, yeah, quite exactly. Why didn't she just turn the Doctor into Squirtle? Why didn't she just turn Shakespeare into
Yeah,
Squirtle for sure? I did like the fact that when the two people come out on stage, they're like, "Oh, and it's Isis descending from the heavens." I'm like, "Oh, well, you can't say that nowadays."
yeah. Well, I mean that's the thing, is it? Because Isis was I think an Egyptian god from memory. if
Ah,
my
okay, okay.
obscure if my obscure historical knowledge serves me correct, I think it was an Egyptian god. But yeah, again, it's just been used like the swastika was used for other purposes before the
Yeah, it was a
Nazis, and now
Hindi
it's just
thing or whatever it was. Yeah,
yeah, it's just something that's been repurposed for not good,
yeah,
which hey ho. Um, I do like puns, to be honest. And he says, oh, like we got to find where they are, and he just said, "Which house?" I'm like, yeah,
yeah.
I respect that. I
Very good.
respect that. That's pretty good. But then again, it was just like, like she just falls asleep. Like, when she says her name, she falls asleep. She doesn't die.
Yeah,
And she's
it's
like, oh
what
yeah,
are the
she's
rules?
she's
Why is
just
she not dying a Squirtle death?
yeah, exactly. She's just like, oh well, she's only unconscious, and it's like, oh okay. And then the Doctor is then in trouble, and then suddenly she just miraculously wakes up, and it's just I don't know. It just seemed very I want to say clumsy writing. Really, it just there wasn't
Lazy, I think,
that
is the
kind of
word.
flow. Yeah, it just and then she's flying out the window and she's like, "Oh, I've got your voodoo doll," but then she never uses the voodoo doll again. Like even when the Doctor is there,
Exactly.
she
Exactly.
never once pulls out the voodoo doll. It's just like, oh, maybe she left that at home or something. I just they built things they built foundations and then didn't use those foundations,
Yeah. Yeah,
and it
exactly.
was
It's
just
all
like,
just wishy-washy nonsense. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Which again, I like the two hearts callback where she stops one of the hearts and the Doctor's got the other heart, and Martha has to restart his second heart, which
Yeah, fun
I
little
really
bit.
liked.
Yeah, exactly. Good fun.
But then we just go to the finale where they're in like the Globe Theatre,
Yeah.
and you've got these two old women, like hideously ugly old women, sitting in just a private box that they've rented out. Nobody goes like, bearing in mind, one of these witches scared a woman to death,
Yeah.
and I'm going to I'm going to work on the assumption that the woman they scared to death is kind of one of those women that is not phased, not a lot phases her. She's pretty tough as nails. And
Yeah.
then you've got these two witches in a box, which, by the way, is on the like literally in direct line with the actors on the stage, and nobody bats an eyelid.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're sitting there with this big, mysterious purple fucking globe or like sphere, and I'm just like, is nobody gonna say anything?
Yeah,
You
but
know,
it's
but
fine. They probably teleported in there and they're slightly more elevated than the actors. They're probably not looking at them. And
yeah.
it's from a
So you
distance. I'm fine with all that.
exactly. But I don't know, like it's just very, very weird. And like with the actors then saying the line on wit, like yeah, just kind of wittingly saying the line, just going, oh yeah, we're just going to say that because it's in the script. None of them, like you would have thought, because I mean, I don't know very many actors or actresses, but from what I've heard, they can be prima donnas. Let's be
Yeah.
real, an actor in Shakespeare time, is he going to say exactly what's on the script without going, well, I don't know what this means. I'm not going to say that.
No, I think completely the other way. I look at Anchorman for fuck's sake, where he gets fired because they put something fake on the teleprompter and he just reads it out
Oh, yeah. And he
verbatim.
said, yeah, but I
No,
don't
I'm
know.
totally on board with that. And it's Shakespeare and the height of Shakespeare. If Martin Scorsese knocked on my door and said, listen, you're going to be in my show, I'm going to pay you 50 million pounds if you do this. Am
Yeah.
I going to give him notes? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's
No,
fucking Shakespeare. You're just going to
but
read it blindly. Of course you are. And also,
no,
these
but you wouldn't
actors,
though.
they're not intelligent people as well, especially back in the Shakespearean. Sorry, that was very offensive. In the Shakespearean
Oh.
days, actors are not intelligent people. They're doing acting because they cannot get, you know, lawyers, barristers, jobs like that. That's the reason that they're doing it. It's not highly paid. It's probably more hobbyist. 100%. 100,000%. You're not
I
questioning
don't
it.
know.
No way. I agree. I agree with that completely.
I don't know. I just think that you'd still question. You go, hold on a minute. What the fuck is this?
Oh, yeah, but they do. They do.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, by the by, so they then say the magic words. The magic words, yeah. And then this fucking portal to, well, I don't know, hell opens
I
up
know,
and
and it's all very
these
CGI and it's all very nonsense. And I don't even
dementors.
think it's worth
Yeah,
dwelling on. It's all just like you said, it's just dementors. It's all very Harry Potter
yeah.
and it's just nonsense.
And
And it wraps up because somebody else says some other magic words and it doesn't mean anything. And I
and
think
that's
that's
the
all we
thing.
need to say on it. Do you know what I mean?
I know it's just painful. It's just like, oh, and I just again the clumsy writing. They put a subtle, yeah, Back to the Future reference in there, and they put a subtle Harry Potter reference in there, which worked perfectly. That's fine. In fact, it was so subtle I didn't even pick up on the first Harry Potter reference, right? But then it was just, oh mate, it was like trying to do, I don't know, fucking dentistry with a hammer. You know what I mean? It was just like, oh, Expelliarmus, and I'm like, oh, I don't know. I didn't like it. I just thought it was very clumsy. You know, very,
Yeah.
it was almost forced in there. You know what I mean? Like I just,
No,
it
I
didn't.
agree with you. I agree with you completely. But nevertheless, the Expelliarmus does, for whatever reason, again, it's not established, puts the witches back in their boxes. They've lost, they lose, they're banished to this orb that the Doctor has just presumably resting in his TARDIS somewhere. Not the first time this season we're going to see an alien trapped to eternal consciousness in an object that the Doctor just keeps for fun, by the way. Keep an eye out for that. Um,
Oh, good.
but it does lead on to what I do think is quite a genuinely good ending. The whole
Hmm.
thing with Shakespeare working out you're from the future, you're a time traveling alien. I think that's brilliant because he probably would. He's Shakespeare. He probably would work out if he's not being under the
Yeah,
influence of the witches and turned into a massive cunt. I
yeah. I
also
mean,
like the Sycorax skull that he brings out. And I had to Google this,
yeah.
that
Hmm.
Shakespeare genuinely has a character called Sycorax.
Does he?
Yeah, I thought that was brilliant. Also, Love Labours 1 is a genuinely lost play. This is all
Hmm.
quite firmly based in reality, and it's obviously just spun off with a fantastical sort of spin. But yeah, I like all of that. And it gives way to, I reckon, the best ending of Doctor Who, the best final closing roll credits moment of Doctor Who there has
Mm.
ever been. I think this is
Hmm.
the best last minute of the show ever. When the Queen comes
Right.
on and is like, Doctor, off with your head. And he's like, what? What? I haven't even met you yet. What? That is perfect.
Yeah,
Perfect Doctor Who.
I get it. It was very funny because it calls back that, the Doctor has obviously met the Queen at some, I say the Queen Elizabeth I. But I think the problem is I've been taken out by that point.
I
I'm
agree
still
with
trying to
you.
get,
I agree with
I'm
you.
still trying to get the head around the fact that they've got these witches, these very comical witches trapped in a fucking sphere, kind of like clawing at the glass like a fucking cat trying to be let in.
Yeah, no, but they're
Like, I'm
trapped to an
like,
object. I get that. I get that. But I do know what you mean. Like
mm,
by this point, I was cooking dinner and I'd lost interest. But that
yeah,
hooked me back in. I was like, that's some top quality Doctor Who. And that does actually get a payoff in the 50th anniversary. That's how long you have to wait for that moment to be paid off.
really?
But just
Wow.
absolutely brilliant. Maybe I think of it more fondly because I know that it's paid off in the 50th. But I think that's just an absolutely classic Doctor Who moment. It's like, yeah, but I haven't met her. It's the first sort of real example of timey-wimey timelines are messed up. If you are a time traveler, you're going to be meeting people at different points in their lives. This is the first real introduction that we've had to that, to be honest. And I think it's a brilliant, just what a fun Doctor. This whole episode should have been that ending, I reckon.
Yeah.
Or anyway, it just shouldn't have been the ending that we got. But I mean, unless you've got anything else to add, I'm happy to wrap it up here, JP.
No, I'm pretty happy to wrap it up. As I said, for me, episode started off very good, but then fell by the wayside I'd say pretty much bang halfway through the episode.
Yeah, I think that might be a little bit harsh. I think it is specifically the ending that lets this down. Um,
Mm,
I think it's a good episode until the ending, and then it's a bad episode, which, like we said when we started, well, like you specifically said when we started, makes for an okay episode. Um,
yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
on that note, though, JP, out of 10. Oh no, we don't do
No,
that. What am I
no, we,
talking about?
no, we
Love it or
don't do
hate
that.
it?
Don't be silly.
Oh, sorry.
You know what? I gotta say love it because there's not enough in it for me to say I hate it. It was, as you say, it was just the ending. I really like the first half of the episode,
Yeah.
and I think my liking of the first half of the episode outweighs the disliking of the ending. So I've got to say, love it.
I agree with you almost entirely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty good episode up until the midway point, and then it just sort of meanders, and the ending is pretty shocking. Not the worst we've ever had, not the best we've ever had. Yeah, it
No,
is
exactly.
still
I
a
mean,
love it for me, but a pretty mid episode to be fair.
but better than what you thought it was, though.
Exactly. Yeah, it's definitely more good than bad, I think. So I've got to give it a love it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there we go. So, yeah, and of course, as we said at the start of the episode, I have not watched the next time trailer because I'm trying to be good. It's my early New Year's resolution is to not watch the next time trailer. So I just go into things completely unspoiled. I've got no idea what to expect, which I think is better, to be honest. I think it's
I
better
think it is
to
too.
do that.
Yeah, no, I think it is. I've already alluded to the fact that it's on New Earth. We get a future based episode. But no, looking forward to it. Again, I think it's for me, it's quite similar to. I'm not that excited for it, but I am quite excited to revisit it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, exactly. So,
Anyway, on that note,
yeah,
thanks for listening as always. Check out our review of the specials. Like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for the engagement. Instagram is popping off at the minute. We love you for your engagement and everything. Like, I'm struggling to put a post up and it get less than 100 likes. And I'm not even being arrogant here. I posted a stupid thing of Shooty Gatwa and his car being like, oh my God, it must be the same car. This is so funny. And didn't think it would be anything. And that's nearly got 1,000 likes on Instagram. It's by far our most liked post. It's absolutely mental. So
yeah,
thank
no,
you all for continuing to listen and for the engagement. We really love you guys.
yeah, no, we love you guys. We really appreciate it. And yeah, as I said, as we always do say, if there's anything that you think that you disagree with or you agree with or anything like that, or if there's anything we've missed, just let us know. Let us know in the comments on Instagram, on Twitter. on TikTok as well. Let us know, because we'd love to hear what you guys think as well. And especially for myself watching it for the first time, if there's anything I've missed, I want to know about it. So yeah, just keep letting us know.
No, exactly. Well, on that note, guys, we're going to love you and leave you. And famous last words, Expelliarmus.